Hello, and welcome to It's All About You with B. Dave Walters, the best show about you on the internet. This is episode 3, Love. For my brothers and sisters watching this on YouTube, if you're trying to figure out why you can't find episode 1, it's because it was too big. You can find it on Facebook. B. Dave Walters. For those of you listening to the podcast on blog.peacelovemoney.com, I didn't think to record podcasts for the first 2, so you have to watch the video. All right. So, we talked already about why you can't change and where, your habits come from, and we talked about how to relate to people. So now, the next logical extension out of that is to talk about love. And I want to start off with a quote. "A loving heart is the beginning of all knowledge." It's by Thomas Carlyle. "A loving heart is the beginning of all knowledge." Now, I already wrote an article about this for the Examiner.com called Spiritual Loving, so I gave all kinds of steps about how to find that special someone, so we're going to talk a little bit about it now, but you may want to check that out, especially if you're in the market. And we're going to talk later about how to let go of somebody you need to let go when a relationship is, maybe already run its course. But I wrote an article about that too, called Letting Go, or After the Love Is Gone. So, Examiner.com if you want to check it out. So, when it comes to a relationship, the ways to start a new successful romance and to rekindle kind of a stalled romance are pretty much the same. The first thing you have to realize is, as I've shared with you before, you are fantastic, you're great, and you are worth loving. Like right now, today, just like you are, you're worth loving. You may have it in your head, it's like, well, when I lose a few more pounds, I'll look for somebody, or when I finish college, or, I'm too busy. And it's fine that you want to improve yourself, but improving yourself is an ongoing process. It will never end. You'll never get to a point that you're like, okay, I don't need to work on anything else. I'm great. So right now, today, you're already perfect. You're already perfect. So now's the time to start looking for that special someone. Now, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, who is it that I'm looking for? Right? What is it that I'm looking for in another human being? A lot of times we just kind of bounce through life, and you maybe bump into somebody at a bar or bookstore, and you're kind of like, well, you're cute, let's get coffee. And that's fine, because the universe can absolutely just place the right person in your path. But you kind of got to co-create it. I talk about this a lot, co-creating with God, especially you fans of the law of attraction. It's true that you have to have an image and visualize it, but, the Amish have a saying, when you pray, move your feet. So you got to do your part too. I don't know how many people I know that just kind of like sit at home every night and just kind of wait for somebody to miracle Mr. Right into their living room. It's not going to happen, okay? So, if you don't know who you're looking for, and even if you do have a relationship, bear with me here for a minute. First thing, like I said, is figure out who it is that you want. If you're not sure what you want, start by figuring out what you don't want. Because everybody knows what they don't want. So get a piece of paper, really do this, really write it down. You can even type it if you want, but this is important. It's only the most important relationship you're ever going to have in your life. So, it's not worth writing, right? Sure. So, write down, I don't want them to be too short. I don't want them to be too fat. I don't want them to be too this, too that, too this, too that. And then, once you have that whole list out, which will probably be a pretty long list, then you're going to start with, well, what do you want? How tall do you want him to be? How tall do you want her to be? What color do you want her hair to be? And get this as specifically as possible. So as you start to form a stronger image in your mind, you'll be more likely to recognize it when it comes across your path. Now, I give people kind of a hard time about this sometimes, because if you have this list of like 20 things and you're like, but she has to be a redhead, and then you meet a blonde and you turn your back on her because she was blonde, well, that's not cool either. You might get 18 out of 20, but the point is you'll find the right person. So now that you've got some idea about this person, ask yourself, well, where would this person hang out? What do they like to do? If you're looking for, an athletic cyclist, then maybe you should put yourself in a position where athletic cyclists hang out. Or even if it's just on the internet, there's message boards and chat rooms for everything. So put yourself in a position where you can start dialoguing with the type of person that you want. Because you'll start moving in those circles and meeting those type of people and forming the knowledge in your own brain. Like, I hear people like, well, I like to go hiking and camping, and, they've never gone hiking or camping ever. So how do you expect to, attract or be with somebody that likes to do those things? So you got to start changing yourself first. Now, if you're already in a relationship, then you might have to start compromising. You're going to need to compromise no matter what. I mean, if you want to have a happy relationship, at least. I mean, maybe your man is just a rabid football fan. Maybe every once in a while you have to literally take one for the team and watch a game with him. It'll mean a lot to him, right? Or maybe, your woman's really into musicals. Like, my wife likes musicals, and I fought, but I have to admit, every one she's ever made me watch, I really enjoyed. So, don't tell her I said that, though. She'll make me watch a whole lot more of them. But the point is, sometimes you got to share the remote. Sometimes you kind of got to compromise on things. Some days it's shopping, other days you're watching The Matrix. Everybody ends up happy, okay? Now, a quick detour here. I'm talking about relationships and saying how loving heart's the beginning of all knowledge and these other things, but you don't need another person. You don't have to have another person. What a relationship with another person is a multiplier, okay? It gives you more of who you are. It gives you more of what you've got. And while it's true that you can accomplish more with the right person than you will ever accomplish alone, being with the wrong person will hold you back more than anything else. And I'm firmly of the opinion that it is better to be alone than be with the wrong person. Because if nothing else, when you cling to a relationship that you know has run its course, when you cling to a relationship that you know is not going anywhere, what you're telling the universe is, don't send me anything better, right? I'm going to cling so tenaciously to this person. I'm so afraid that I'll be alone that I won't have the courage to step out and try and create something new and have a better, healthy relationship for me and for them. Because everybody deserves to have a situation where you can have somebody that can love you unconditionally. But before you can have somebody else love you unconditionally, you have to love you unconditionally, as we talked about in the 2 previous episodes. Okay? So, we're assuming now that this relationship is worth salvaging and worth improving or worth creating in the first place, okay? So once you start putting yourself in that environment, once you start putting yourself in motion, once you start changing the way that you're relating to your significant other right now, you'll see that everything will start to change for you pretty quickly. Because if absolutely nothing else, let's say you decide you want a bodybuilder, so you start hanging around in the gym and you start working out. Even if you don't come across that person instantly, you're still going to start feeling about yourself because you're going to feel yourself in action. You're going to feel yourself creating. I mean, that's what we're born to do. It's what we're meant to do, is to be creating, to be in motion. If you're feeling any stress or anxiety in your life about anything, by the way, it's probably because you're stagnant. It's probably because you haven't had a change in that area in too long. And I'm going to split this here for my brothers and sisters watching on YouTube. For people that are watching on Facebook and the other sites of the podcast, you hang on. We're going to keep going. Wait 1 second.